Plugins 2. Let's talk about the parts of an RTAS plugin. Here's a Digirac 7-band EQ3 plugin. At the top of the plugin window, there's the track that it's inserted on, the insert position, and the name of the plugin. Click any of these to change them. Clicking the bypass button takes the plugin out of the signal path. Use this button to check how the track sounds with and without the plugin. Check the settings menu to work with plugin settings in a number of ways, like saving a setting. Click the librarian menu to access your saved settings. Use the plus and minus buttons to go through the next or previous setting, and the plugin settings select button to choose or increment the setting every few seconds. The compare button lets you toggle between the saved setting and any changes you've made to the setting. Click Auto to enable individual plugin controls for automation. Click the Safe button to prevent existing plugin automation from being overwritten. Use the Master Link button to link or unlink a multi-mono plugin, and the Channel selector to access a specific channel. Finally, click the Target button to keep the plugin window open while opening other plugin windows. In this EQ plugin, you can adjust the input and output levels, reverse the phase of the track by clicking the Phase button, and with all of these other controls, you can alter the frequency content of a track. A high-pass filter does exactly what its name implies. It allows high frequencies to pass while cutting low frequencies. Here I'll put a high-pass filter with an 18 dB per octave cut at 100 Hz. Click the In button to make it active. The low-pass filter works in the same way, just from the other end of the frequency spectrum. Below the bandpass filters are the low frequency, lower mid-frequency, mid-frequency, high mid-frequency, and high frequency EQ controls. If an EQ band's In button is lit up, that means it's enabled. The central frequency is the frequency that you want to adjust. For example, say you want to add some edginess to a rock guitar part. Choose 5 kHz as the central frequency. The gain is the amount of increase or decrease in amplitude you want to apply to the center frequency. If you want a slight boost in your guitar part, add 1 to 3 dB. For a more drastic change, add 6 to 9 dB. The third parameter, Q, is the width of the boost or cut region around the center frequency. The Q determines the degree to which frequencies near the center frequency are boosted or cut. High Q values yield narrow widths affecting a small range of frequencies, while low Q values provide expanded widths to encompass a large range of frequencies. Now let's check out DigiDesign's Dynamics 3 Compressor Limiter plugin. It has all of the same stuff at the top of the plugin window, with one new addition, the key input. Click here to enable an input signal from an interface or bus to trigger or key the parameters of this compressor limiter. On the right, in the sidechain section, you can click the key button to activate the key input and click the little speaker icon button to listen to the key input signal. You can also set up a low and high pass filter on the incoming key signal. Check out the session on the DVD called Sidechain to learn more about how to use a key input. On the left, in the Levels section, is the phase reverse button and the meters for input level, output level, and gain reduction due to compression or limiting. In the Comp Limit section, you see 6 parameters. Threshold is the volume level at which the compressor starts compressing. Attack time is how fast the compressor reacts once a signal is over the threshold. Knee is how fast the signal reaches full compression once it's over the threshold. Ratio is how much compression is applied to the signal. Release time is how long the compressor stays on after the signal has fallen below the threshold. Compressors also have output gain adjusters, or makeup gain, to make up for the lost gain from the act of compressing. If a track would benefit from being compressed, here's what I do. First, I'll find the threshold at which I want the compressor to kick in. I usually set the threshold in one of two ways. 1. High threshold. This will only affect the peaks of the signal. With this setting, the compressor kicks in just on the loudest parts of the track. 2. Low threshold. With this setting, the signal is almost constantly compressed. I might go back and tweak the threshold later, but first I'll dial in an approximate compression ratio that might be appropriate for the track. I decide by listening to the track and determining how much I want the lower volume notes to become more present in the track. If it's just a little bit, I'll use a compression ratio of 2:1 or 3:1, so that the loud notes only come down a little too. For tracks that need more note leveling, I'll use 4:1 or 6:1, even up to 10:1, to make the volume level more uniform. Next, I'll set the attack and release times. The attack time determines how quickly the compressor reacts to a signal that's over the threshold, so consider the type of instrument and part you're compressing, and whether or not you want to compress the initial transient of the instrument. The initial transient on a drum track is always very fast, so if you want to compress the initial transient on a drum, the compressor's attack time has to be extremely short. However, if you want the drum's transient to come through before compression kicks in, set the attack time to allow enough time for the initial drum transient to pass through before the signal is compressed. Set the release time for the length of time you want the compressor to keep compressing a signal after it falls below the threshold. Longer release times keep the compression on for more time. You'll also want to adjust the knee. A soft knee means the compressor takes its time to get to full compression, whereas a hard knee makes the compressor reach full compression quickly. A soft knee creates smoother compression, whereas a hard knee can be abrupt and is better for limiting. Finally, adjust the gain to make up for the reduced level of the track due to compression, and you're good to go.